Hi all, my name is Basid Ali and I am your cloud computing instructor. Today we are going to start our second lecture and the second lecture is going to be very informative and very interesting today. In our last session, we actually learned what is cloud computing, what can we do with that, and we also learned some other competitor in the market, and we also have created an instance in AWS, and we also discuss about Google Cloud Platform. And now today we purely start from Microsoft Azure, that is our course based on. So today I write some. We are going through Azure Fundamental, our second module, that is Azure Fundamental. Okay, in Azure Fundamental, I have some core topics that we discussed today. It's from the first topic we discussed is getting started with Azure, and the second our core topic is what is Microsoft Azure, and our third uh, core topic is our use case, that is actually our lab that we done, and the last one is how will we implement this. So we are going to continue our. Okay, we actually discuss about these topic, core topic today, and today our agenda is very far related to Microsoft Azure, and it's going to be very informative, and I hope you guys will enjoy today's session. So let's start with Azure Fundamentals and our second module, and from getting started with Azure. So basically, why Microsoft Azure? Why we learn Microsoft Azure? Why not any other? It's a very important question. Why Microsoft Azure? So let's discuss this. The leader on the paper, we all know, is Amazon Web Server, but from last some time, some year, Microsoft Azure growing too fast in the market. Jobs are also increasing in Azure, and it's the primary reason to learn Microsoft Azure. I have some references about the lines I said. This is the Azure job graph that I get from. This is the current job trend about Microsoft Azure. So in 2004, there is 2014. Sorry, there is only 0.01 job trend in Microsoft Azure. The time began. The Azure jobs also increasing day by day. In 2015, it increased more. 2016 increased more, and in 2017, it increased a lot. That is the reason why we learn Microsoft Azure. Everything is coming to uh, um, I say everything is coming in coming 10 to 15 years. Everything in coming 10 to 15 years will move on cloud. That is the reason for you guys to skill up, because jobs are increasing every day. Jobs are increasing day by day. So what's your goal? What's our goal in to get to done this course? Actually, our goal is to prepare ourselves. What's your path? Basically, what's our path to do? To why we doing this course? Is basically we will prepare ourselves. In the first phase, we will prepare ourselves. In the second phase, we should you should need to get certified. What you learn, you need to get certified in Azure. And then you have to get some hands-on experience, because without hands-on experience there is no much be beneficial for us without hands-on experience, because without minds question you can give the exam but you don't get skills. So you need hands-on experience. And the final step is our getting job. So first prepare yourself, then get certification, then get hands-on experience, and then get job. This is the our main agenda to be. So this is, I think, it's enough where Microsoft Azure. Now our second question is, what is Microsoft Azure? We have learned about AWS, we have learned about Google Cloud Platform. So we know our question is, what is Microsoft Azure? Actually, Microsoft Azure is a growing collection of integrated cloud services which developers and IT professionals use to build, deploy, and manage their application, their work through our global network of data centers. It's Microsoft Azure, and it's nothing. It's just like a infrastructure. I have also some reference where you learn Microsoft Azure. So that's a Gartner report from Forbes.com. It's a very predict that the world public cloud market will grow from 182.4 billion in 2008 and 2331.2 billion in 2022. So it's huge. So it's the reason where we learn Microsoft Azure. The average salary for cloud architect range from approximately 1,14,560 per year to 158 per year per annum. That is also, I get it from Indeed.com. It's a references, and some multinational companies are also has upgraded to Microsoft Azure, like NBC Sports, Citrix, UST Global, and many more companies worldwide use Azure across their industries. So that's the reason you have a reason, a authentic reason to learn Microsoft Azure. So what is Microsoft Azure? We have learned. No, it's just an infrastructure, and now I will speedily move to use case. Use case is basically our lab. Is actually it's a lab, and I named it use case. Guys, my philosophy is that rather than doing all the theory first and then going to the lab, I would like to follow a reverse approach. I would like to begin from practical, because that is what your exam will be based on. So practical, lab, use case. So meaning that is what will be your exam is based on, and your exam will be based on real life examples. Your exam will be based on real life scenarios. It will be based on what kind of hands-on knowledge you have in your Azure domain. So that is the reason in our every session of our will have a use case. We have a lab in which we will try to analyze how we can implement it in the cloud. So this is our first use case that we are discussing today. This kind of a simple. So please pay attention. We are actually we are in our use case. Let's understand what is my use case. So we are trying to make website uh, hosting a website on Azure on cloud computing. Someone who don't know about cloud computing, please go and listen our last lecture session. It's on YouTube, and the link is in the description of this video. So which will so we are going to host a website on Azure. This is our lab, and what is going to do is which will have an option of uploading images. Mean we are going to uh, host a website which will have an option of uploading pictures, and these pictures will come as slideshow in the background. And these website has a functionality to upload more files in the cloud. So that is our basically the lab. So this is our first use case, and we have to implement it in the cloud in Microsoft Azure. So there are two stages in which I'm going to implement this use case. I hope you are getting my point, what we are going to do. The first stage is we apply a pure logic. Here we can understand how we can actually deploy it on any cloud service, not only it on Azure. So first case is we can apply our scenario, that is we are hosting a website and it will show a slideshow of pictures and have an option to upload more pictures in the cloud data center. In a cloud service we are getting here. So our first stage is a pure logic. Mean we can understand how actually deploy it on any cloud service like AWS or any on cloud service, not only on Azure. So the question is how we will implement this on any cloud provider. First we understand it. Once we understand that, then we will try to implement it. So first, how will we? The question is that how will we implement this? In general scenario by using pure logic. So uh, I have some I have a picture here. Okay, what is that? We have a user base. Here is a user base. Will be accessing the internet. This is a user base. Will access the internet. When user want to access a website, we are just understanding our user use case. We are just understanding our lab topology, which we are going to implement in soon. So here is a user base. We will be accessing the internet. When user want to access a website, he will enter the website name. When from here user want to access a website, he will enter the name just and hit enter. So all that traffic will come at this point, which is called a load balancer. Now what is load balancer? It's just like a technique or service which distribute your traffic equally. I hope you understand. It's just like a service or technique which distribute your traffic equally. It just distribute traffic equally among the service, among the server running at that time, among that server running at that time. For example, uh, I have 5 server running my website. I have 5 server running my website. That traffic will be distributed among those 5 server by the load balancer. So the job of the load balancer is to distribute the traffic equally among the services that we're using. So your user base from the internet is trying to access your website actually. So the traffic comes to the load balancer, and the load balancer segregated traffic into equal proportion and give it into server rights. I hope you understand that. So once the traffic comes into the server processes the request. If you talk about our website, so our photo are equally stored on a file system, because our website, the work of our website is to show a slideshow of pictures, and we have the capability to upload more pictures. So our pictures are equally stored in a file system, that is here. So whatever files are we are uploading, or there which are already been uploaded, are there on a file system, right? So it will access that file system to fetch these files. But our server don't know what file do you want. That's the question. How can server know which file I want, which picture I want picture or I want any other file? So here is the answer. For example, I upload a file before uploading. The picture that are already in the file system. There were three pictures running in the background. So my server should know what are those three files that I have access right. There should be a list of those files that server has to play in the background. So the list of the file is actually stored in the database. That's the point you need to get. Mean my file system save the pictures and the list of that pictures name is saved on the database. So what server will do? It will first get that list from the database server. These are three server. It will get that file list from the database, and once it get that file list, then it will fetch that file from the file system. First, it will fetch the list, and then when he get the list, he have the file names. Then he will fetch what he needs. For example, five files in the database. So my server will interpret the addresses of those files from the database, and then it will call the file system and get those files and try to show that in the slideshow in our website. So that's the main task. I hope you have understand our user case. Now when we upload the files, first your database is updated. That file is renamed accordingly to your parameter you have defined, because it has to be unique. Each file has to be identified with a unique name and then stored it in the database. Once entry has made on the database, it get uploaded on the file system. So this is the architecture of your application, just as logic that we will following to fulfill our lab today. So now we move to implementing that scenario we have discussed. How can we implement this scenario in Azure? Implementing it in Azure. So let me have an image. So here is our server. Server move the query to the load balancer. Load balancer move that query to database to create list of that file system files, and then database move that query to file system to save our files. So implementing this user use case we have studied in Azure. How can we implement the server in Azure? We say is a called app service. The services that use server in Azure is called app service. The load balancer is Azure load balancer and auto scaling. Database is MySQL database. File system is Blob Storage. You might be confused. What are these four services? So let's discuss it one by one. It's just like Azure Components. So first we discuss app service. I hope you guys are getting knowledge. So it is a part of a complete compute domain. App service is a part of compute domain. In compute domain, you have a lots of services. We have many services in compute domain. Where are so now the question is, where are we using app service? Where are we not using any other service that are available in the compute domain? So there are total three types of main services in compute domain, available in compute domain. That first one is virtual machines. The second one is app service that we're using in our case. The third one is functions. So these are three main Azure components, apps, services that are available in compute domain. So let's discuss first service, virtual machine. It's just like a new machine with a freshly installed operating system. It's just a VM virtual machine installed on your Azure cloud environment. We also configure its RAM. We all can configure its storage. We can configure it according to our need, and then we RDP it, remote desktop it with the IP and credential provided by Azure to us, and it's our. There is no any interfere of any other service, any other like Azure services. So that's all. Now let me move to app services. It is just a automated version of virtual machine that we have discussed. It's just a automated version of virtual machine, but with some limitations. It's a service with very more focus. It just not give us the access to user interface. Like virtual machine, they give us credentials and IP to remote desktop that my machines. Like there's a freshly installed OS, but app service don't give us a user interface. I simply uploaded my code, I simply uploaded my configuration, and it deploy the application it for me. So it's a automatic. It's like automatic. I automatically it automatically deploy my website. Me just need to tell some parameter. In virtual machine, everything is manual. Everything I need to define. But with app service, everything happen automatically. I just have to upload my data and it will process that data automatically. So that is the app service. So now discuss function. It's a very new technology. Function is a very new technology. Function also called serverless architecture. We don't need to specify the configuration. You just upload your code and it will execute that for you. But it will not deploy any application. It will not host a website for you. Like it only do background tasks. Like for example, uh, I have asked you that I will rename that pictures, that data. So the I just asked that rename that picture. So the renaming process, I don't need to write a code. I don't need to write a script for renaming the file system. That function will done by serverless architecture or functions. So we are using app service because I just uploaded my data and it will create host a website for me automatically. So that's why we are using app service. I hope you guys are getting my point. So our next thing is our next components that we are going to discuss is, if I open the picture, uh, Azure auto scaling. First we discuss uh, auto scaling, or that's called, it's just called blob storage. It is called blob storage. Now what is blob storage? It's just a file system that we need to upload our files. It's just a file system. This one, blob storage, is a file system that we need to upload our files. There is no alternative to this. It's the place where we storing our data. So now the question is why we choose blob storage, why we not choose any other services from storage domain. So blob storage is on all in one. It's just all in one storage. Blob storage is an all in one storage which can store any types of file, which can store any types of file. So where we use it in storage domain, I also have three types of services. In storage domain, I also have three types of services. First one is blob storage that we are using in our case to upload our data, to save our data. And the second one is queue storage. And the last one is backup storage. So these are the three types that are services that are available in storage domain. So let's discuss first. We have discussed blob storage. It just save all in one. It just save every types of files in it. So let's discuss queue storage. Queue storage is a queuing service mean to synchronize tasks. For example, I say task 1 done before task 2 and task 2 done before task 3. So we bundle that tasks and save that to queue storage. For example, I say first task is to rename the file. I ask rename the file, and the second task is save it to file system. So what will done? First, it will give that job to rename the file. It will not give you to save that file to the file system. And the renaming the file is a function that we have discussed in app services. It's the work of a functions. So first it will rename the file and then it will save it to file system. So that's our queue storage. Now let we move to backup storage. It's a place where we store our frequently used data. For example, like our lecture we are recording today. I'm recording and also I have to save that lecture. But I don't need it to daily basis. I need it after a week or after a month or after a year. So that's will save on backup storage. It's a very cheap services. So today we are using blob storage because blob storage is the place where I can save any type of file. I don't want to back up my website. I don't want to queue my tasks. So that's why we are using blob storage. Now the next thing is MySQL database. That is database, MySQL database. What is this?